Now, and Dave, on your railroad, there's a number of operators that come in and they're given assignments for the night. And one of the assignments that they have is to be a person that would be bringing all trains in from Quebec, per se, into the layout room and running them through in different ways, and may get different assignments for the CPR. They'd be CPR locomotive engineers to some degree. And you have assignments for other people as well. But let's start with that one. If I was coming to your railroad for the first time and I was assigned that job, what would happen in terms of starting my session?
Well, the first thing I'd do is tell the person about the geography of the locale and show them the map, which is on the back of all of our work lists.
Yes.
There's the map of the layout, some operating instructions for the operator. This is basically the job jar the individual would get, and this would be the CPR mainline operator. This individual would be running all the trains that are outside yard limits that require a CPR locomotive engineer.
And how are they identified specifically? The
trains are identified by train number, color code. The black is information only, something to be aware of. The reds are the ones we expect that this locomotive will actually, this engineer rather, will actually crew.
Okay.
So it's a color-coded system. If we take the first train on that list, that's a Quebec Central 62 South. We saw that train enter Newport a little while ago with CPR locomotive 2663 on the front end. The individual, when he sees this, will look at our fast clock here, say, oh, it's almost 4:05 a.m. This is a very early train in the morning. And at 4:05 a.m., we'll take the train from staging with clearance into Newport Yard from Sherbrooke, Quebec.
Right.
The person's authority to make that run, which is called the track warrant in this case, is in this case on my layout represented by this envelope. This envelope is the track warrant, and it includes the train number, where it's coming from, Sherbrooke staging, Montreal 4, to Newport, arrival and departure from Sherbrooke at 4:05, arriving at Newport at 4:10. It's a very short run. This is a turn, so we have the second half of the action on the same piece of paper. On a train that's running through, there'll be a complete layout of the timetable schedule so that the operator has a general idea, without reference to any other location, what his schedule should be. The operator of this train would have to comply with the clearances from the stations through the signal system. This also doubles as not only the track warrant, but is the keeper of our car cards and waybills. Everything that's in that train that locomotive just brought into Newport is in this envelope, and there it shows where the cards go. The first car in the train, you will recall, was a stock car. It is going to Lamoille Valley via the St. Johnsbury on the SJ&LC. This train will not get it there. It'll take another train to get it to that location. The third piece of information I put on this particular envelope is on the back. The normally assigned locomotive, and if it has sound, what the various functions are.
Well, that's very convenient. Makes it easy for the new operator.
That's the whole idea, is to try to simplify it all for that new operator.
And some old ones too, I guess.
A little older than we thought. When you have 6 operators operating all at the same time and attempting to coordinate a stage show where you basically have 4 separate stages called my stations, Newport, St. Johnsbury, Wells River, and White River Junction, and the actors are coming on and off, there has to be some means of coordinating those events between those stations. And the way you do it is by time. And what I have on this layout is the capacity with one single clock, and not having to use repeaters as you can get, of having a fast clock that everybody refers to. That's why the scheduling side is important, I think, is to coordinate the various operators' activities so it works. The clock I use is a really nice regulator model. It's produced by a company, GML, and you can adjust the time speed. Right now, you can actually see that minute hand moving on this video because I've got it on a 16:1 ratio. That means an hour, or 15:1 ratio, sorry. An hour's going by every 4 minutes. Realistically, when we operate here, I operate in a 6:1 ratio, which means it takes about 10 minutes for an hour to pass, and we find in our layout that that's about, when we operate, that's about the right speed. Interesting observation. When I was operating on DC, we ran on an hour passing every 5 minutes, 12:1 ratio. With the introduction of DCC and sound, those additional cues that came into play caused us all to operate more slowly and more prototypically, and quickly we moved from a 12-to-1 ratio in running the layout down to a 6-to-1 ratio now. The good or bad news, depending on how you look at it, is a full op session now takes twice as long as it used to take, but at the same time the sound is really nice.
And you have twice as much fun.
Absolutely.